Good evening, everyone. It's such an honor to, after all this time, after all these days, to come up over here and stand and talk in front of you. I must say, DT has given me a lot, and saying a lot is an understatement. So, so I am ever in gratitude of DT and ever in service. So, whenever DT needs me, I'm here. So, thank you for having me over here. So, what's the topic? Structuring. Structuring an effective speech, is it? Okay. An effective speech. Sorry? Structuring an effective speech. Okay. So, why do we, I mean, why do we go through this trouble of delivering a speech? You know, going through that mindset, mental ability to write something and then come up over here, leave all our work, stand here in front of strange people, talk strange things. Why? Can anyone tell me why do we deliver a speech? To put out our opinions, okay. To influence, okay. Strong terms, okay. Anything else? Okay. No, but why are you actually delivering it? What is the need? Okay, great. So, so considering these answers, it's basically to put out our ideas, whatever we have in our mind, we are putting it forth, right? But what do you mean by an effective speech? Effective. What makes a speech effective? Can anyone tell me? Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Anyone else? Yes. Which can alter people's belief. Again, strong points. Wonderful. Anyone else would like to try? What makes a speech effective? Okay. Imagine or rather think you have all gone through this. What was your uh, mental mindset when you gave your icebreaker? All of you have given your icebreakers, right? At least one speech you have given, right? All the Toastmasters, at least. So, what was your mental mindset? Did it reach all the people over here in the room? Did it resonate with each and every member of the audience? Did it? Might have been that some people really liked your speech, some people could not connect well. Did that happen? Or were you already, able to connect with each and every person? No, right? Not 100%. You are not able to connect with all the members of the audience. The same thing happened with me as well. It happens with each and every person. The basic idea, the general idea of having a speech is that reach a point where we can connect with each and every person. And that is what makes a speech effective. If you are able to connect and resonate with each and every person in the audience, then consider that your speech is effective. So that is the ideal state that we are trying to aim for. We are not there yet. As Sayam mentioned, practice makes us perfect. We'll get there someday. So, how do we get there? How do we do it? How do we take our existing speech and scripting ability and take it to the next level so that we can reach the ideal state of delivering a speech of writing a speech. So, what are the ABCs of speech writing? You all have written a speech, right? What are the ABC? What is the ABC? The ABC? Yeah? Yeah, basically that. The ABC is nothing but the OBC. What is OBC? Opening, body, and conclusion. Right? Okay. What do you mean by the opening now? What, according to you, should be a proper opening to any speech, to any given speech? What is it? Introducing, okay. What else? Which catches the attention? Okay. Anything else? Telling the people what the speech is all about. Giving a hint. Great. So, what we are aiming at the opening is catch everyone's attention, hold it, and then take it forward. Right? This is the basic general idea. How you want to do it is up to you. What is the opening is done? What is the body now? What do you do with the body? The main message. Okay. I think the main message comes in the conclusion part. Do you agree? What comes in the body part? The explanation or anything that reinforces the message that you're giving, right? The conclusion is all about the message, whatever you want the audience to take away from. Great. Now let's take it. This is all basic part of it, basic part of scripting. Shall we take it one notch higher? Let's break this whole OBC down into smaller pieces. Shall we? Okay. Do I have a, this can be used for writing, right? Thank you. Okay. This is pretty good. Okay. So, can you tell me what all other things that can grab attention, especially when it is concerning the opening of a speech? What can grab attention? A question, great. High energy, yes. Voice, body language, that is fine. Sorry? Quotes, great. What else? Interaction and eye contact, okay. Let's consider from the scripting point of view. That is, the higher energy and the eye contact is all regarding the delivery. Okay. Regarding the scripting, we have the questions, quotes, interactions. What else could it be? Strong comments, of course. One of my favorites. Most of my speeches I usually used to start with a song. I'm a terrible singer, but I love to start a speech by singing a song. Some of you must have heard me singing and delivering a speech. I always used to identify one particular song which I can use and connect it to the speech that I have. Why? Because when I start singing a song, everyone's attention is on me. I can have all the eye contact on me and paying attention to whatever I'm singing. Whether I'm singing in a terrible voice or that is all secondary. But I have that attention, right? And I love doing it. I loved singing. Even though I'm a bad singer, I still managed to do it. So, anything that grabs the attention can be considered a wonderful opening, right? So, you said quote, question. So, let's take the first letter and mark it as, this is not writing that well. Q. Okay. When you open with a strong statement, when you open with a quote or something that grabs everyone's attention, half of your job is done. You don't have to again bring in that energy, bring in those words and higher language, better language to again grasp the audience attention, right? So your job is already done. Now you can proceed further. Now you can talk about other things. Another part of a good opening is your own stance, your own opinion. How do you relate to the quote or the question or the song or whatever it might be? How do you relate to it? If you are able to relate to it, then everyone else is already along with you. They are already holding your hands because they understand that that particular quote or whatever affects me in a particular way, and they are already with me. So, what we have next is the support statement. So, let's write it down. So, support or the stance, you can say your particular, your personal stance, your opinion about that particular subject. Okay, when you do this, you're establishing what you want to convey, you're establishing your clarity towards that particular topic, right? What comes next? Once you do this, what do you think comes next? Let's get into the body part of the scripting. Now, what do you basically do in the body? You share your opinions, your experience, your, I don't know, memories, or the moral or whatever, right? What shall we call this? All of this collectively. Story? Story? As a speech writer, we are basically storytellers, are we not? We are telling a story, we are giving a particular opinion, an idea through the form of a story. It might be a real story, a constructed story, a fantasy, whatnot. What we are basically doing is telling a story. And through that story, we are establishing certain facts, we are establishing certain ideas. Whether you want to influence people or whether you want to change their opinion, the audience's opinion, all you need is a story. Whether it is factual or not, that is all secondary. But in order for you to establish one particular point, one particular idea, you need something to reinforce it. You know, while building a building, what do? We put up the foundation, right? Consider a story or the whole body of the speech as the foundation of your speech. So that gives us story, the story part. So once we tell the story, what do we have left? The conclusion, right? Now, what are the different ways in which we can conclude? What do you think are the different ways in which we can conclude? By throwing a question. Very good. Amazing. What else? Sorry? A call to action. Yes. You're asking, you're enabling the audience to take up a stand and take this course. You're basically telling them, if you do this, you're going to get this. Call to action. What else?
By spilling the secret about that song why you chose in the beginning.
Okay, that also could be there, but that's like a more you say personalized way of doing it. Although that's you might take it, not many would take it. In a generalized manner, it is already that the reason why you have chosen the song should already be established. If you have to actually tell it out loud, then you're not doing it right. So it should be imperative for everyone to understand why you have chosen that song. So what else? What else? What else are the things that you can end or conclude the speech with? My comments on the speech. Great, great. Anything else? The summary of the topic.
Personality establishment of the speaker is more important in my personal opinion.
Okay. Can you please tell me more about it?
Yeah, so whenever we conclude the speech, it is very important that the personality of the speaker is established to the audience.
Right.
They come to think that he is a man of, he's man or woman of substance,
Yes.
and he has
Yes.
something to offer to me personally.
Great. Very wonderful point. I really like that, sir. What you as a person are, you're going to put it forth in terms of your ideas, in terms of your values or morals of whatever you're going to speak about, right? That's basically the thing, whatever you said.
Yes.
You're putting forth your own personality in front of others to convey a point. That's a very great thing. So, all in all, if we are able to put all of these together, can we just say call to action? Right? Can we? So, let's just write action. So, what do we have now? We have QSSA. This is a very specialized way of having OBC. And why do we have this? Is because it gives us more numerous number of directions in which to script our speech. The OBC is like very generalized way. The QSSA method splits the OBC into smaller parts and gives you a more detailed way approach of scripting a speech. Now, the applications of this QSSA doesn't just stand only with prepared speeches. See, most of us, we usually, whenever we are sitting to write a speech or script a speech, what we tend to do, we just start scribbling something and trying to put it together, make it into something legible and something understandable. But there are certain types of speeches considered table topics itself. You don't have that time to script everything. What do you do then? Consider that you are given a particular topic. Let's say, try and try till you succeed. How are you going to speak on that? The easiest way would be to apply this QSSA. The, the only thing that you need to figure out is the action part of it. The action part and what do you want the audience to take away from by that quote. Everything else you already know. Do you know the quote or a question? Do you know that? Something related to try and try till you succeed. Not just repeat try and try till you succeed itself, but you could even ask a question saying that, have you ever been in a situation where you have tried and tried, but still not able to achieve your goal? Yes? Makes sense? Or you could even, come up with a particular statement which relates to try and try till you succeed. Let's come to the S, the supporting argument or the supporting stance for yourself. What would you say? After you ask the question, have you ever been in that situation? You can ask, you can answer saying, yes, I have been in that situation. And I was completely distraught after that. I lost all hope. What happened was, then you move on to the story. Exactly. Then you move on to the story. Now, coming to the story, do you all have a story for this topic? Everyone has. Every single person has. Whether it is, I don't know, a nursery rhyme, a nursery story about a fox jumping to get hold of the grapes, or whether it is your own personal experience when you studied so hard and still you were not able to get good marks in your exam, or something that happened maybe 8 or 10 years ago, something when we were small, something that happened to us that we still remember. which we can use as a story. This happened to me, right? Makes sense? Every single one of us have stories. So the only thing we need to worry about when we are given a topic is what? The action part, not the structure. The structure is right in front of you. Whether you are following the OBC or the QSSA, it doesn't matter. The action part. What message do you want the audience to carry home from? Right? So, usually, whenever we are giving a speech, right, what what is that one thing that we are aiming is so that everyone can resonate with us, and even after they are on their way home, they are still thinking about the speech. They are still thinking about certain parts, the maybe the story or maybe the start, the opening of the speech, something they are, it is still with them. If we are able to do this, then great. So that is where the action part comes. If you have a very strong call to action where you're asking, you're requesting, you're commanding, you're begging, whatnot, it might be in any form that you wish, but if you are putting your audience into a thinking mode, into wondering whether, yes, whatever he's telling is it right or wrong? It's fine even if the audience think that whatever you're saying is wrong. Even if they are against you, that is completely fine. You have done your job. You have got them to think. If you have got them to think, then it's the battle is won. You want them to think. So the action part comes towards the end, and that is where you can start, you can put more efforts over there. So coming to the table topics now, even right standing on the spot, if you are able to use these techniques and figure out something in just a matter of 2 minutes, it is, your objective is completely done. So QSSA is a more focused version of the OBC where you can utilize it to get better results, to organize your own thoughts, to organize your stories, your experiences, and your quotes, whatnot, and put it in a particular format and then deliver it. Right? Now, have you ever been in a situation where you're just conversing with certain people outside and about any particular random topic and you don't know what to speak about it? Right? All of us have been. Next time you are in such a situation, try using the QSSA method. Try using that. Whether it is for short conversations, whether maybe you're just speaking for 30 seconds or 20 seconds, you can still use this format. You don't need to tell them out loud that, okay, this is the cue, the quote, I'm delivering the quote. Now let me come to the story. Let me tell the action. But it all happens in your mind, fluently, seamlessly, and organically. The only way you can do this particular thing organically is through practice. So try using this as much as possible. Whenever it is, whenever you find yourself in that particular situation where you need to think about the only action part of it. Rest, all of it, you already know. It's already with you. All you need to do is construct the action part. That's all. Now, so where all you can use this, that is somewhat clearer. I would say try using it as much as you can. Now, coming to further tips and tricks of scripting. Okay, let me before that ask you, what is the general way, what is the general technique that you follow when you're writing a speech, when you're scripting a speech? What is the first thought you have in your mind? Anyone?
I should be able to connect to the audience.
You should be able to connect to the audience. Okay, fine. I'm asking from the topic from point of view, from the when you're scripting a speech, what is it the first thing that you think about?
Audience.
The audience, okay. Okay, what else? It should be realistic. What should be realistic? The story should be realistic. Okay. Okay, let me rephrase the whole question. Imagine that you're delivering a speech from a Toastmasters pathway project. You have a certain guideline given to you for delivering this project, for this speech. So, how do you start? What is the first step that you start off with? Let's say the whole project is about maybe storytelling. It is about storytelling. The topic you need to choose. Everything is up to you. So, how do you start?
Just recognizing or identifying that one message what I want to convey in the entire speech.
Exactly. What is it that one thing that you want to put forth in front of the audience? What is that one thing that you want the audience to take away from? What is that one idea that you want to share that you feel is worth sharing? Or what is that one thing that has affected you the most that you want to share with others? That you want to share that experience with others so that they can learn from your mistakes or your experience. That is the first step. So, in the speech, where do we usually put this step? Where do we put this one line takeaway message? Conclusion, right? So, when we are trying to write or script a speech, why do we need to start from the bottom part of it? Seems unlikely, right? Most of us, we are in the mindset where we are going to start writing from the top. The opening should be like this, the body should be like this, and what should be the takeaway message? No. The takeaway, the action part of it requires more of your mental energy. That is why you come up with that first. Once you are very clear with what is it that one thing you want to put forth, everything else will just fall into place. It will sort itself out completely without much of your efforts. Because the story, you know, the supporting stance, you know, the opening, you will know subsequently. You will know that as well. So that is the first part. Although I must tell you that this bottom to top approach of scripting a speech will work 90 to 95% of the times, but may not be, for those 5% to 10% times, you might have to go in for a different kind of approach. Maybe it might be the top to bottom, or it might be even start from the middle, start from the story. So I wouldn't recommend this, but there was one point where I had the song and then I just wanted to sing that song, so I built a whole speech around it. The speech turned out really well, but the song was left a little dangling. It was not entirely connected to the whole speech. That happened. So if you are able to pull that out right, then very good. You can try it out, but it doesn't always work. The top to bottom approach, top down approach, will not always work. There's a little bit of, let's say, while joining a block, different parts of blocks, right? Lego. When you're playing with Lego, you have to figure out which part joins with which part, right? So the top down approach is like that. There's a lot of figuring out, there's a lot of trial and error to do. But if it works, it really works well. So the safest or the best approach would be the bottom to top. You can even start from the middle. You can even have a story with yourself. You want to tell that story. You're feeling compelled to tell that story. So figure out the action part of it. Figure out the message that you want to put forth. Because one particular story can have multiple action, might have multiple takeaway points, right? So figure out what is that one action part and then move forward. So whichever approach you're going through, either the first or the second part will be the action. You need to figure out this first and then go ahead. Have you ever heard a speech where there is no takeaway message? Have you? Yes? Can you tell me where you have heard this kind of a speech? Politics. Exactly. That is the first thing that came to my mind as well. That is one place where there's no apparent call to action. You just say whatever you have to say without any concern about what the audience is thinking or understanding or taking away from. So that is one place where this happens. But it is, you need to understand that the duty of a speaker, of a public speaker, if you are coming up on stage and utilizing that platform, that forum, then you need to do justice to it. That is my funda basically. That you need to take that opportunity to convey something worthwhile, convey something that might help each and every person listening to you. If not all, at least some people, some portion of it, some percentage of it. That's the duty. Okay. Now, the different approaches. Okay. The one thing that I usually do when scripting a speech is create a skeleton, is create a sort of like a framework. Let me just demonstrate. Is this clear? Can you read what this is? I'm sorry, my handwriting is not that clear. Action, right? Now I have the action. I have that one point which I want to put forth in front of the audience. I am going to talk about this maybe in one line, in two lines, in three lines, or what, that is up to you. Now, how do I do that? What is the next step? Figure out the story. I figure out the story that I want to tell, which is connected to this action, and then come up with my supporting stance. And then towards the last, sorry again, my handwriting is rubbish. Either it is Q question, Q for quote, or whatnot, or Q for song in my case. So, whatever it is, this is basically the structure, the framework that I build. And I start expanding on these particular single points. I start working, putting points and elaborating what each point I need to include in. What is it that I am going to speak on each point of it? The story. For example, what am I going to talk about? What is the story? I write down individual points and the transitions. If the story has, multiple layers, if the story has multiple characters, I write each point. And then that gives me the skeleton. That gives me the framework. For lack of better words, I prefer to call it the skeleton because it is easier to form the whole speech on it. So if you have this skeleton, you have the general basic idea of what you want to do, what you want to talk about, and how you want to put it forth. All you just need to do later after that is put embellishments, put the ornaments on top of this skeleton, like muscles or nerves or whatever you want to call it. And then you start putting content to it. So this is my skeleton for this particular session. I just have written down points and the structure in which I want to follow. And I usually do that. I figure out the ornaments or the embellishments. I figure that out by writing or by internalizing. What do I want to talk about? I usually write it down. That is how I remember. That is how I am able to recollect whatever is it that what is the next step is. Most of you or most of us, we usually don't have a piece of paper in our hand during a prepared speech or even during table topics. But if you are having a longer speech, a longer session, I prefer to have a piece of paper because it gives me a direction. Most of the times, even I don't have to, or rather, I don't usually carry a piece of paper like this. So usually, when we are talking about the different preferences, individual preferences, right? So my preference is that I have to write down each and every word of the script of the speech. I literally need to write from the top to the bottom. I need to know what all words have to be there. It's not necessary that I'm going to by heart it, I'm going to completely memorize it and then repeat the same thing. That's not the case. What I do is I need to know what all words are there, so that when I'm up on stage, whatever the natural form, whatever instinctively I say, will be in accordance to whatever I have written, whatever I have scripted. So usually, as per my knowledge, this is a very technical side of scripting a speech. This is a technical way of doing it. And if I'm not wrong, DTM Preeti does this. She's very technical about this. She's very technical about each and every step of the speech. She already knows what is the last ending line when she's up on stage attempting a table topic. Midway, if you stop and ask what is it that you are going to speak at the last, she will tell you. She already knows. While she's speaking, she's already thinking about how she's going to end the speech. That's the level of structuring that she goes into. I'm somewhat similar to her. I also prefer to have one whole structure ready before I deliver a speech, before I'm able to stand up on stage and talk about something. If I don't have a structure, if I don't have any script, then I'm all over the place. I literally can't talk more than 2 minutes if that happens. And that's why I'm pretty bad at table topics, to be honest. So, this is one approach. There are different kinds of people who have different preferences. For some person, writing a script would be a tedious job, would be considered as such a huge headache. I have seen people, I have met people and conversed with them who have just give them a topic, give them maybe an hour of time. What they'll do is just sit, think about it, internalize, maybe use a laptop or a phone to Google some things. And then the very next hour, they are going to come up over here, stand and deliver an amazing speech. Now, you can question them and ask them, have they used the QSSA or the OBC method? They will have in some form, but they don't need to write down everything. They don't need to even write a single word. For some people, it might be just write down the skeleton that I had mentioned, the framework, and then they are ready to, you know, create a havoc on the stage. But for some people, we need the whole script. So, understand your own preferences is what I would say. And how would you do it? How could you understand your own preferences? By knowing yourself. Oh my God. By practice. Grab that every opportunity to come up over here and stand and try to speak. And then you will get to know what your preference is. Whether you need a script, whether you need any kind of preparation beforehand, whether you need a framework, a skeleton, or you can just go ahead and freestyle. No, trust me, there are people who are amazing speakers, well established speakers, who are thriving on just freestyling on any given topic. I call it freestyling because based on the situation, based on their position on the stage, they just think on their feet. That is the best kind of table topic, but for a very long duration. I personally can't do that. So you need to figure out what works best for you. Okay. Now, there's one more thing that I want to ask. What do you think is the difference between writing a speech or scripting a speech? Or do you think there is a difference?
There's a
There
difference.
is?
Yeah.
There is. Okay, unanimously. Great. What is the difference then?
Writing is like a politician speaking on stage. Scripting is like
Okay.
a keynote speaker speaking on stage.
Okay, great.
One is with structure, the another one is without structure.
Okay. So,
Story is an idea.
all
It is
right.
an idea where we have the characters, where we have the story, the moral, and the ending out. Scripting is the detail of everything, right from the beginning to the end.
Yes. Right. Absolutely. Anything else? Anyone else would like to? Yes, this is basically what Afak sir told. Writing is you're sort of like preparing a skeleton, a framework, where you know where which part comes. But it is not entirely detailed. It is not extensive, for the lack of better word. But when it comes to a script, each and every single word is written down. You know where which part comes, you know where which quote comes, which story comes, which word comes. Even as far as a comma or a full stop. For a international speech contest speeches, we usually practice even the pauses. It has to land in the right manner, at the right point, at the right part of the speech. That is the level of technicality we get into in scripting. So that is the basic difference between a script, which is extensively technical. You need to have those technical skills to script. But if you are able to do the same job equally well with writing a speech, then why not? I would say not everyone can do it. It's not a matter of superiority or inferiority, it's just two different approaches. So you figure out what works for you. There are far more nuances once you start getting into it. There are far more advanced techniques of scripting, of delivering, of putting your point across. Whether it is voice modulation, whether it is body language, even in the delivery part of it, there are so many different segments. So start experiencing and start exploring. Explore this journey of public speaking. And trust me, as people, or even I would think once upon a time that public speaking is just standing up on stage and blurting out some rubbish. Just that's not just it. Even if you have to blurt some rubbish, it takes a hell a lot of effort to do it in the perfect manner. Thank you so much.